Well, welcome to the Really Big Interviews. Hi, this is Darren Jacklin. Thank you so much from around the world for joining us here today on SharingSuccess.tv. I have an incredible guest speaker that you want to pay particular attention to today. If you've got a paper and pen, you want to grab it because you're going to be doing some note-taking. This gentleman is from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. He's an author, speaker, and identity abuse prevention advocate. Please welcome to the Really Big Interviews here on SharingSuccess.tv, Mr. George Greenwood from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. George, how are you today?
Incredible. Thank you for having me on with you.
George, it says here in your introduction that you are an identity abuse prevention advocate. What specifically does that mean?
Well, one of the biggest misconceptions that I've discovered over the 5 or so years I've been involved in this is that there's a lot of misconception as to what identity theft is and the scope of it and how really big it is internationally. And so what my purpose has been is twofold. First is to raise the consciousness and the awareness to people about what they can do to change their basic habits so that they can get into a prevention mode. And second of all, is we need to, in this country particularly, and other countries as well, need to reform some of the legislation to be able to protect their citizens of those countries, to be able to be protected against this growing runaway train type crime that's affecting the entire globe.
Now, identity theft is a huge challenge. I know in June of 2008, I was personally impacted by identity theft, and it took several months for me to deal with different credit card companies, cellular phone companies. My identity was stolen, and MasterCard credit company actually called me one day from their office, their identity theft division, and actually said that I was hit with identity theft because they noticed a change in pattern on my credit card. And I was totally unaware of it. In fact, I believe that I would never, ever happen to me, that I'd never be hit with identity theft. But you probably got some stats, whether they're in Canada or the United States of America or internationally, on identity theft. Do you know approximately how many people within their lifetime statistically will actually be impacted by identity theft?
Well, I can answer that question in a better way that you can imagine. The stats released the other day show that there is a case of identity theft every 2 seconds.
Wow.
That's huge.
It's incredible. And that's an increasing number. Wow.
Oh, it's an increasing. Here's the way I define it. If you think of a bar graph and watch that graph grow exponentially, that's good growth. I know in our business we would love to have exponential growth in our business, of course.
For sure.
But think of it this way. If you compound that exponential growth by increasing exponential speed with it, you've now described identity theft globally.
Wow.
It is becoming, well, it's not becoming, it is a major industry. And we as people are the inventory, sadly to say.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know, George, that you travel across Canada, and you also travel internationally speaking to Chamber of Commerce groups, corporations, organizations. When you're doing public live presentations with a live public audience, what are some of the topics or things that you're speaking about to address to the audience members that are in those audiences?
Well, okay, good question. I thank you for that. As a matter of fact, I'm doing one tomorrow morning here. And one of the things that my biggest role with this, as we said at the onset of this, is to try to change people's awareness factors of what this is. I mentioned earlier that it's one of the biggest, there are some major misconceptions along with it. And one of them is even what you said. The first thought of identity theft is credit card. That's common with people. And one of the things that I believe is that identity theft, as much of a growing phenomena that it is, that in my thinking, into a lot of cases, it's not about identity theft as much as it is identity giveaway.
Check out the Really Big Interviews hosted by Darren Jacklin. Visit SharingSuccess.tv to learn from experts and leaders from around the world.